What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back in Bad Moments in Lao Cow history. We are covering a brand new Lao Cow on the channel, to me at least. So we're looking at Tipster. I know nothing about him other than he blocks a lot of people on Twitter and he has a very thin skin. But I've been asking people about him, and apparently he's very similar to Boogie in the way that he'll do something or say something stupid, delete it, apologize, say he'll do better, and then does something stupid again, and then just repeats in circle. But so I wanted to learn more. So this is someone suggested this to me, lyrics, and it's titled "The Most Disgusting Commentary Channel: The Lies, the Backstabbing." So let's watch this, react to it, and learn some more about Tipster.
Biggest criticisms of like the commentary community is like when it comes to mental health, how lightly that shit is taken.
Tipster had been telling several people about my suicide attempt. Not only that, but he was claiming that I had faked it.
Why? Why is Tipster claiming he faked this?
Mental health is something that like shouldn't be taken.
Yeah, you can't say, oh, they're faking their suicide thoughts or attempts or whatnot, and then go on. Mental health is a very healthy thing. You have to be okay with that, and you have to take it seriously. Like, you can't play both sides there. And my God, what is going on under his chin? It looks like he's got like a fat layer under there, like almost like a gunt under his chin.
Lightly.
Tipster then mocks him and says, "Oh, I'm depressed. I'm gonna take a bunch of pills now. Fuck off."
Wait.
With that.
Wait, let me read that.
Why is Tipster claiming he faked this?
Mental health is something that like shouldn't be taken lightly.
Tipster then.
Yeah, so he says it shouldn't be taken lightly, but he accuses someone of faking being suicidal. Okay, so we have Colton. That isn't suicide baiting, Tipster. Maybe some people buy that BS, but I don't. And Colton, you're delusional too. Then, to think I took sleeping pills to get high is suicide baiting. I made that clear to her, so it isn't miscommunication. She's outright lying. And then Tipster says, "Oh, I'm depressed. I'm gonna take a bunch of pills now. Fuck off with that bullshit, dude." Yeah, that's some creepy stuff right there, Tipster.
Mocks him and says, "Oh, I'm depressed. I'm gonna take a bunch of pills now. Fuck off with that bullshit, dude."
Even if you suspect that somebody may be lying, you probably shouldn't take it lightly just to be on the safe.
That's what you
Tipster
just
was
did.
going around.
That's what you just did, Tip. Oh my God. Like,
Now, fuck off.
you can't say,
bullshit,
"Oh, you can't take it
dude."
lightly,"
Even
and
if
then
you suspect that
do stuff
somebody
like that.
may be lying, you probably shouldn't take it lightly just to be on the safe side.
Tipster
Yeah, so let's see. I can't speak on behalf of the other person, but I do think your grudge against Hannah is out of line. She wanted to help you, and you turned on her for that. Maybe I'm biased because she's like my best friend and all, but I do think that there's a bridge that should not be mended. She cared about you, and still does. I saw how hurt she was when you guys fell out. It wasn't there anymore. It's the fact
was
that...
going around telling people that Colton faked a suicide attempt.
When people express intentions to commit suicide, the people need to take that shit more seriously, rather than just brushing it off like, oh,
Yeah,
they're
maybe you
just
should
using
take your own
mental health
advice
to
there,
deflect.
Colton
Tipster.
says this isn't suicide baiting. Tipster says maybe some people buy that bullshit, but I don't. I ain't got time for your bullshit. You can't own up to the fact that you are still a suicide baiter. You're on your fucking
Wow.
own. Coming from Tipster, again, the empath, the guy that's always about mental health, hearing people
And people
out.
are telling me
How
that
is this not completely destroying every
RFC
credibility
used to be
you have?
tight with
None of
Tipster,
what
too.
you say means anything now.
We gather here to celebrate the bonding of
The hell
two
is this?
individuals who wish to join their lives as one. Do you, Tipster, take Queen Keffels as your
Oh,
lawfully wedded
God.
wife?
Damn right, homie.
Oh, God. He's a kip... Oh, God. Because I did a Twitter video on Keffels, and I looked at the brief history by Turkey Tom. My God, he is a Keffels simp. Tipster's Chronicles Episode 4, The Colton Saga.
Today we're going to be talking about how Tipster, the mental health advocate, ruined a guy's reputation by accusing him of
Oh, he's got the
suicide
ring light
baiting
just like
when
Phil.
he was actually suicidal, tried to cover it up by blocking anyone who asked him to address it.
I heard he
and
does that a
lied
lot too,
to
just
this
blocks
man's
people.
face when confronted about it. And doing after all that, smearing his name, did nothing to help in restoring his reputation back. You know, before, drama involving Tipster was just hypocrisy, him not being able to take a joke, and overall just kind of memes, like memeing about his e-whores online, or making jokes about his marriage and how he's gonna get divorced from his wife. But in this case specifically, this is actual fucked behavior that
E-whores
goes to show his
online?
character. And you know, someone who goes on talking about how people should be open and honest with coming forward about their mental health in one breath. It's pretty ironic
that the Zelda
coming from
music?
someone when people
I
do
love it.
actually come forward about their mental health struggles, that then he goes on and
That's a link
accuses
to the
them of
past.
faking being suicidal.
Mental health is something that, like, shouldn't be taken lightly.
Tipster then mocks him and says, "Oh, I'm depressed. I'm gonna take a bunch of pills now." Fuck off with that bullshit.
Yeah, I
dude.
can see
Shouldn't
why
be
people
taken
don't like
lightly.
Tipster
Shouldn't
now.
be taken lightly.
But the people involved in this story
Like, this is pretty
Colton,
damning already.
the guy being falsely accused, Bonnie, his ex who accused him, and Tipster, the 100K commentary YouTuber. So Colton was in a relationship with Bonnie, and after they split up, she accused him of two main things. One, that he was creepy and pushy in terms of being sexual, and apparently trapped Bonnie under false pretenses of being just platonic friends. And two, that he faked a suicide attempt one night by swallowing a bunch of his
So that's what
sleeping
the
pills.
ex
But soon after this
accused him of.
accusation, Bonnie went live on stream to admit that she was bullshitting, and she backtracked her first statement. But in regards to the fake suicide, the details in that case was that he told Bonnie that he wanted to get high one night because he was depressed and took some of his sleeping pills. But in her accusation, Bonnie insisted that she believed that Colton was trying to make her think that he was suicidal.
Well, that's
when
interpretation.
she thought
That's
he wasn't.
not
But this guy
him.
Colton has a serious history of mental health problems.
Yeah, and the thing is too, so what you say and how it's interpreted are two different things. Because I could say one statement, but someone could hear it and interpret as a different complete sentence.
He goes on to explain that in a document that he dropped. Like, you can't classify something as suicide baiting when someone is actually suicidal and they think they're gonna kill themselves in the moment and tell other people, but just by the grace of whatever, they don't end up going through with it. Like, just
Exactly.
because they don't go through with their suicide doesn't mean that they're automatically suicide baiting. So it's just an argument
you gotta
that
take
can
that all
never be
serious,
made,
too.
honestly, because it's all based on assumptions on whether or not
Especially
you
if someone
think
has
that
mental
someone's
health issues.
faking being suicidal or not. And especially over something as serious as this, you would think Tipster would be the last person to judge the legitimacy of someone else's mental health struggles.
One thing that sucks about the internet is that people aren't allowed to feel anything. You can't hurt. You can't show emotion. These things are seen as weakness, but in reality, it's a sign that we are human. And being honest about our pain makes us stronger. It helps us heal.
Oh, so here's Colton being honest about his pain. You know, he's suicidal. He was in a ward
Yeah.
for 3
Yeah.
days.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
Hospitalized.
And Tipster ended up being the one
Yeah,
who's
'cause he's-
behind these false
he's being honest
accusations,
and showing people
helping out
how
the
he feels.
accuser, Bonnie,
Colton,
by
that is.
feeding her false information that Colton really was a suicide baiter and had a history of doing the same thing.
And being told by a bigger influencer that, hey, he's done this in the past, and then he'll like tell people that or like he'll harass people when they call for wellness checks. Like, that's
Oh,
it
she's
kinda
talking about
adds
Tipster.
up, you know. And being told by a bigger influencer.
So when Bonnie accused Colton of suicide baiting, she backed up her claim by using this appeal to authority that some bigger influencer is telling her that Colton has a history.
So why
of
is
suicide
Tipster even
baiting, which
involved
gives
in this?
more
Like, how is
legitimacy
this
to her
his
accusation
business?
all of a sudden? And this bigger influencer happened to be the Big Tip.
Well, he
after
physically
Colton heard
is
about
bigger.
That there was some bigger influencers saying these things about him. He went on to try to figure out who was saying this, and when he asked Tipster straight to his face on if it was him, Tipster lies, bold-faced, to him. "Are you telling Bonnie that I suicide baited?" Tipster says, "Huh? I don't think it's you, but some woman in the community is claiming on Twitter that I suicide baited because a large creator in her DMs is claiming it. I just want to make sure it isn't you." And Tipster says, "Who is Bonnie?"
He lied
and then
right there.
Colton replies,
He definitely
saying,
lied.
"Okay, you're cleared, haha." And Tipster says, "Okay, lol," acting like he has no clue what's going on here. But just 2 hours
So he talked to
later,
Bonnie
Tipster
behind
gets
the
caught
scenes and
lying
then
about
lied to
this,
Colton.
where Colton notices in his live stream chat that Bonnie was a mod. in
Oh,
his
he
chat.
got
I
caught.
literally 2 hours after initially confronting him and him denying it, I went into his live chat because he was live at the time, and I saw Bonnie was a mod.
He
To see how
pretended he didn't
reacts.
know who she was, but
Yeah, so that's a really scummy thing to do. Is you're talking to the girl over here about how it's a wellness thing and he's suicide baited and this and that, and then the guy who supposedly is suicide baiting comes to you and goes, "Hey, are you talking to this girl about me possibly suicide baiting?" And he goes, "I don't know who that is." Like, that's a huge scummy thing to do.
then you saw that she was a mod the same day. So immediately you
Yeah,
call
so
him
he
on
got
bullshit.
caught here.
And when Colton goes to call Tipster out for this, Tipster shits on him, continuously telling him that he doesn't believe he's suicidal and he's all faking it. But
Yeah, but
before
you gotta
that,
take
we'll
it
get to
seriously,
those
remember,
DMs in a second.
dudes.
Before that, to continue the conversation we just looked to,
What
Colton
a
says she's an
scumbag.
e-girl I talked to for a while who's now threatening to go public with claims that I traumatized her over phone sex. But she's also saying that she catfished me and faked being interested, and that's somehow my fault. If you see the Colton twit longer anywhere, now you don't have to read it. Where that message isn't as important, but Tipster then responds to that saying, I mean, I do know you've said you were gonna self-terminate, then got mad when people called in a wellness check. So, where Colton says, that isn't baiting though. I regret doing that, but obviously a suicidal
pretty
person
cool thing
will
to
be
say by
upset when their
Tipster.
plans are interrupted. And Tipster responds saying, I mean, it depends. If you didn't actually intend to do it, it's baiting. So true, Tippy. You know, if you don't actually kill yourself after
Wow.
being suicidal, if
That is
somehow
a
plan
horrible
gets
thing to
interrupted,
say, like,
whether
that
you're trying
is
to
one of
hang
the most
yourself from a
scumbag
ceiling
things I've
fan
ever heard.
And your ceiling falls on top of you and you end up not being able to successfully kill yourself,
Like-
then you're just baiting.
He's not even showing any empathy here. Like, someone who has mental health issues in the past, and they're possibly suicidal now, and he goes, oh, well, if you didn't actually do it, then, oh my god. This is bad. Like, how does this guy, Tipster, have 100,000 plus viewers
You're not actually
with this?
suicidal. Fuck you.
Mental health is something that like shouldn't be taken lightly. Even if you suspect that somebody may be lying, you probably
look at
shouldn't
this.
take it lightly just to be on the safe.
Yeah, so I can see what's happening here. It's the two images here. So you have Tipster on stream, who's the, oh, I'm a nice guy, here's all the good advice, you shouldn't take anything lightly, you should always take everything serious, and then behind the scenes, he's this cold, almost sociopathic person who just talks shit and is so cold to people and lying to people. My god. I can see why people don't like
But
him.
now fast forwarding to the DMs when Colton calls out Tipster, Colton says, as long as you know that you completely raped your credibility by
Wow.
gaslighting me. And Tipster says, not really, but okay, lol. Where Colton says, so you didn't call me paranoid and pretend like you didn't know who she was when you were saying those things about me? You acted as if I was crazy for thinking you did it. Then you admitted it. That's gaslighting. Where Tipster responds, you're just pissed because I was right about what I told her. And now everyone...
So, you're just pissed because I was right about what I told her. So, you were talking to her. So, in there, right there, you just proved to him that you lied to him. You were talking to her. So, when you go, I don't know who Bonnie is, and then she's a mod in your chat, and then now you say, oh, you're just pissed because I was right about what I told her, you're proving that you're a liar and a scumbag.
Everyone knows you have a pattern of doing this fucking shit. You're not a kid anymore. Now grow some fucking balls and own up to your shit. I'm not here to baby you. I'm here to give it to you real. You have some serious issues that you need to work on, clearly, because this is a pattern with you and now everyone knows it. So now that the big tip is mad that he got called out online straight to someone's face, he's now even more indignant in his belief of accusing someone of falsely being suicidal. Colton says, you're right, I'm not a kid anymore, yet you're bringing up situations from when I was 17. If you weren't here to baby me and give it to me real, you wouldn't have lied and gaslighted me. I did nothing wrong to Bonnie, and you're enabling this delusional victim complex she has. If I'm not a kid anymore, why bring up situations from when I was? How long do I have to be changed until this is no longer relevant? And Tipster says, because you're still that same person, Colton. Colton says, prove it. Because what Bonnie had was me just getting high. Tipster says, I warned her, and less than a week after I warned her, you did it to her too. And Colton says, that isn't suicide baiting though. And Tipster says maybe some people buy that
Wow.
bullshit, but
That is
I
some
don't.
cold
So Tipster doesn't
scumbag
give
stuff.
a fuck if you're suicidal. He doesn't buy it.
When people express intentions to commit
I
suicide,
like how they keep playing
or they
this-
express that they have
this,
some serious mental health
clip
problems,
all over the
people
place.
need to take that shit more seriously, rather than just brushing it off like, oh, they're just using mental health to deflect.
Colton responds,
Oh my
you're
God.
delusional too.
He is getting
Then to
destroyed
think
in this
saying
video.
I took sleeping pills to get high is suicide baiting. I made that abundantly clear to her, so it isn't miscommunication. She's outright lying. And Tipster says, oh, I'm depressed. I'm gonna take a bunch of pills now. Fuck off with that bullshit, dude. So he's just clowning on Colton for being depressed and suicidal. Based mental health advocacy from Tippy. Colton replies, then why would we remain on call to hang out for hours immediately after? I tried to kill myself, then immediately watched movies with her and talked for hours. Make it make sense. This is all besides the point that you absolutely did gaslight me. By the way, I've owned up to everything I've done wrong. She hasn't, and neither have you. And Tipster says for the last message, look, I ain't got the time for your bullshit.
Oh my
If you
God.
can't own up to the fact that you are still a suicide baiter, then you're on your fucking own. I'm not gonna waste
Like,
my
you can't
time
say
with
this-
someone who
this is
clearly
something
can't
who has
see
mental
the
health
error in
issues.
their ways. I wish
Especially
you
someone who
nothing
is
but the
suicidal,
best,
you can't
but
say
I'm
this.
out. Peace. The tip is out. And after Tipster got called out on this, people in the community started reporting on it, and Tipster went on a blocking spree. Colton explains in his document saying, around last Christmas Eve when this happened, Spondyle, a community member, reported this publicly, and Doc streamed it. And Tipster went on a blocking spree. Hannah, another community member, revealed that Tipster had been telling several people about my suicide attempt. Not only that, but he was claiming I had faked it.
So he's done this to
had
multiple
turned many
people then.
against me, most of whom had never so much as exchanged a word with me before. He had gaslit a mentally unstable person to avoid repercussions for lying about an attempt on his life to others. He has not said a public
oh
word
my
about
God,
this
he's done
situation
this to multiple
since,
people.
but this is likely what he refuses to elaborate on regarding the current drama with his former friends. He has made no public comment on these actions to this day, and although he did apologize privately to him in April, it is unknown how many people still believe these claims, though, or if he's recanted them privately. And this all happened last December. So,
Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about with the cycle thing. So he does something bad. He deletes it or whatever. Because he most likely deleted these messages. Apologizes for it. Says he'll do better. And then starts doing it again and doing, oh my God, it's a circle with him. Just like Boogie.
Several months later, in real time, 3 weeks ago from today's time, for the first time publicly, Tipster addresses this situation. And you would think, oh, finally, you know, it took him long enough, but at least he released a fully fledged video, or at least tweets about this situation, right? Fuck no. He acknowledged this for a little, just over 60 seconds buried 3 hours into a 4-hour live stream that was covering topics completely unrelated to this situation. I mean, shit, the only reason he even talked about this on stream is because some chatter was criticizing another creator for that creator calling out someone else.
So how
accusing them of
does Tipster have
suicide.
100,000
This
plus
reminds me of when
people
prison mate
following
Luke
him?
used Peaches talking about her mental health and said she was suicide baiting. You know, that's... A lot of you guys know I got called out for saying that Colton was a suicide baiter. And a lot of you guys don't know about this because I didn't talk about it publicly. I didn't feel the need to talk about it publicly. But I ended up apologizing to Colton for that. Because even if at the time I did believe that he was a suicide baiter, it was really inappropriate for me to say that, you know, to other people and stuff like that. So I apologized to him for that.
So this guy not only...
So first off, there's no emotion behind that apology. He's just like, I'm just saying this to say this. Like, there's some sociopathic tendencies with him. And oh my God, like, he's almost saying it just to get it out of the air so no one talks about it. It's just like Phil.
Played a big part in ruining Colton's reputation, but then tried to reap the benefits of owning up to his fucked up mistakes that he made, when at first he went on a blocking spree on anyone else who would bring this up to him, and is now acting as if he made a full-fledged public apology video on the topic, when in reality he just addressed it for a few seconds 3 hours deep in a live stream that was covering completely unrelated topics. Like, this is the equivalent to dropping an apology video on your 1K sub second channel instead of your main.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
You want to minimize as many amount of people
He
who
doesn't
know
want
about this
very
drama
many people
and
know about
the
it,
fucked things that
the
you
whole
did to
situation.
someone else. You want to minimize that as much as possible, but still try to take the social credit of owning up to your mistakes. If you really want to show you're sorry, at least make a dedicated video or even a public tweet, for God's sake.
Exactly.
To hopefully try
I
to
like this
restore
guy.
this guy's reputation at least a little bit more than the damage you've done.
I
to
like
it.
this
And
guy
it's
so
crazy,
much.
too,
I
when
like
you
his
think
videos
about that
too.
Tipster had a
Especially his
situation
editing
where one
style.
of his friends just a few years ago, Apollo Legend, killed himself too, and that deeply affected him.
Apollo was a really good friend of mine, and I'll always miss him. And I wish it didn't come to this. I just hope that he's not in pain anymore.
Wow.
Hollow was a really good friend of mine. And
I just want to say it looks to me like a fake. I'm not saying it was fake, but this whole thing where he talks about his friend and stuff, it looks like a fake cry. Like, for one, there's no tears. And two, like, he sounds so generic when he says this.
I'll always miss
Look at his
So
hands,
for him to
too.
not extend that same amount of empathy to someone else to understand where they're
Usually
coming
when
from,
someone's emotional,
who's
their
openly
hands are
saying
everywhere.
that they're suicidal really just shows what kind of guy he is. In conclusion, Tipster, the big mental health advocate, ruined a man's reputation by accusing him of suicide baiting when he was actually suicidal, tried to cover it up by blocking anyone who asked him to address it, lied to Colton's face when confronted about it, and after smearing him, did nothing to try and help and restore his reputation. This is the guy who called the commentary community too toxic for him.
First of all, you have a guy
Yeah.
with 100,000 subscribers, you know, speaking for you and getting hyper invested and involved in a situation where you're basically getting like smeared by this woman, right?
Yeah.
And Tipster's like obviously more on her side and lying to you, giving
Right.
and also lying about you to her while she's going after you about all
Yeah.
of this shit and trying to sabotage your relationship with other people, right?
Yeah,
So there's
she
total
literally-
reason for you to be like totally. If I were you in this situation, I'd be fucking pulling my hair out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And also how it could affect like my future career if that ever catches up to me. These claims that I like pretended to be suicidal, and the Me
Yeah,
Too
because
stuff
that's over,
that he was
all
like,
over the internet. So that's the thing is, when you have these public personas and you have people calling you liars and suicide baiters, it's all over the internet when you Google their name. So Tipster made this scenario where if any future employers Googles him, all that's going to come up. Talking about how he's lying and all that. And that does wreck his reputation.
supporting while pretending not to in my DMs. Like I had a conversation with Psych Draws once in DMs, and she was like saying how she believed that I was a doxer and a suicide baiter, and like all this crazy stuff. And she's like, someone said you did all this, but it doesn't seem like it. What the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, bro, what the fuck? Like who's like I don't understand why people say this.
Tipster sucks cock. That's an awesome
I'm
way
a
to say it.
pedophile.
Wow. That's a hell of a way to end it. I was too mean. iDubbbz is a pathetic loser. Why I hate Tipster. Maybe I'll watch that one in the future. Yeah, so this is Lurix. Yeah. So follow them on YouTube, follow them on Twitter. Yeah, if there's any other videos you guys want me to watch, let me know. Put them in the comments below. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the video. As always, I love each and every one of you. Hope you're all safe, healthy, and happy. Peace and love. Peace and love. Peace and love. Also, fuck Tipster.